Hello, hello, Kim McIntyre here, the neurodivergent, and today we are talking breathing. Why are we talking breathing? Because breathing is life. If you don't breathe, you don't live, right? And it's a perfect day to talk about that because I just experienced a few things on my drive back into work. I noticed a few kids walking down the street, and they looked like they were about 5 to 7 years old, and they're walking into town, and they're by themselves. There's no parents around, so I turn around and drive back towards them and pull in the parking lot, and then my brain starts thinking, weird guy talking to these kids. And luckily, a woman actually stopped the kids and was talking to them, so I talked to the woman when she was done. Very nice lady who I've actually met before. And she said, apparently the oldest one is 10 years old. They do this all the time, and it's just normal for them, which when I was a kid, yes, it was normal. Things change, whatever, okay? So I'm walking back to my truck, and bam, there's a car accident. And I witnessed it, so I stayed there, and the young boy of the young girl that actually caused the accident, he had to go to work, being responsible, right? And so he actually asked me to stay there so that the guy who got hit, he was angry. He didn't want anything bad to happen. So I stuck around, and then I wanted to give the police officer my input from the accident also. Now, also, taking note, I had drank a cup of coffee before. So when I decided to do this video on breathing, as you will see, my breathing was pretty erratic, and it was actually pretty hard to concentrate. And when I would exhale, I felt anxious, anxiety, whatever you want to call it. So it's going to be funny once I realize that, how my body responds, how I allow myself to respond instead of just being prim and proper, be strong and be steady and focus on your breath. It's going to be cool. So here we go. I'm coming into my breathing. Now, the reason I put my hand on my belly and my abdomen is, apologize for that. This is live. There is no editing here. When I put my hand on my belly and my abdomen, my intention is for my breath to come into my abdomen first, which means I'm using my diaphragm along the bottom of my rib cage to facilitate breath. Now my rib cage also moves because I am filling up my lungs with air. And I'm doing a count right now of about a 5-second inhale, and I think I was doing about 8 to 9-second exhale. But the exhale was extremely difficult for me to consciously slow it down, which goes with everything that I experienced. And remember, being an empath, I was picking up on that guy's anger, the girl's fear, and the shock of being in an accident. I did my best to protect myself from it, but hey, that's just my go-to. So, I'm noticing the tension. Now realize, not all of us are empaths, but all of us have tough days. All of us experience things that test our limbic system, that test our nervous system, that test our emotions, that bring us back to times in our life when we were stressed out. So I am still breathing into my abdomen, but I just moved my hands down to my pelvis to attempt to find the breath down into my pelvis, which will affect pelvic floor, which will affect root chakra more, which will affect the movement down into the legs and the knees and the feet. And I'm actually realizing right now I really had no awareness of my legs. I was aware of my feet. There was a lot of energy in my feet. So now I also realize that I'm also attempting to pay attention to the breath coming down into the table, down into my armpits. Everywhere breath is happening. Making sure that I don't use my neck to raise the rib cage. All breath is being facilitated by the diaphragm. And now I'm beginning to start breathing. I think I was doing about a 10-second inhale and 15-second exhale, but it's still, that exhale was very difficult. And when I got to the end of it, I found myself kind of almost feeling like I was suffocating for air. Now, as we continue here, this is when I start noticing the changes. Okay? I'm holding back. I'm making myself work too hard. I'm not allowing for the release. I'm so focused on the breath. Well, that's all fine and good. If we're too focused on the breath and we don't allow for the release that so importantly wants to happen, here comes the release. Now I'm letting myself move. I'm stretching. I'm not intentionally stretching. I'm just allowing my body. And there comes a smile, not realizing what I was holding on to. And here comes the yawning, letting myself go. And if you ever work with horses or work around the horses, you'll see the horses yawning and stretching. Dogs do it. Cats do it. It's like, I'm finally letting go. So now I realized, this is much easier. So when you are practicing your breathing, when you're practicing anything, allow for the release to happen. Don't remain stagnant. We're trying to create flow within your body, flow of the energy, flow of the muscles, flow of the nerves, flow of the chakras, the meridians, whatever your belief is. Allow for the flow to happen, and the flow will go wherever it needs to go. So now the breathing is much easier, less structured. I'm still focused on a longer exhale than an inhale, only because that's what I was taught a long time ago, and it helps so much. And here comes a big old smile and big stretches. I'm stretching through my toes. Everything wants to let go. And man, I didn't realize how much I was holding on to, from the cup of coffee, from the accident, from being worried about the little kids, from being worried about myself talking to the little kids, right? Those little thoughts up in your head, they can really mess with you. And notice my face, how much softer my face is now. Allowing, and I just had a really wonderful thought go through my head that just made me smile. And at first, there was no thoughts going through my head. It was purely focus on the breath, focus on the breath. You're shooting a video, be professional, focus on the breath. And now it's just like there's going to be some quote unquote negative thoughts come through. There's going to be some positive thoughts. Let them all go. Acknowledge the positive, great, let it go. Acknowledge the negative, or the weird, or the joyous, allow it to release, so that I can be present here now in the moment that I'm just so happy. And you can have this happiness too. It does take work. It does take awareness and thought and allowing yourself to be happy and joyous and loving and grateful and forgiving. Forgiving's been a tough one for me. It's been a journey, learning how to forgive, but it gets better and better every single day. Look at that. Wow, look at my jaw opening up. My goodness. And look at every time my face just seems to relax more and more and more. So when you're practicing your breathing, as we're going to build upon this breathing series, practice your breathing in all kinds of different positions, not just lying on your back. Practice your breathing when you're laying on your sides, when you're laying face down, when you're in a scared position, when you're wide open to the world. Practice your breathing when you're standing. Practice your breathing as long as it's safe and you're not really having to focus on everything around you. Practice while you're driving. Practice while you're doing your work, whatever work that may be. Practice your breathing so that you can allow yourself to be happy, to be healthy, to be joyous, to be loving. Allow yourself to be loved. That's a big one, right? Allowing yourself to be loved. And if you choose to watch this video again, feel free to tap along to the video, and you will find yourself releasing along with me, if you haven't already. The tapping just allows you to sink deeper within your subconscious, letting yourself know it's okay to let these things go that I don't need anymore. It's perfectly okay to allow myself to let these things in that I do need. Even though I don't exactly know what I need, it's okay. It's okay to let those things in. Wonderful. I'm coming back into awareness. I am happy. I hope that you are too. So when you do work with me, whether it be locally, through Zoom, or through the phone, these are things that we'll address. We will address your cranial bones, including the collarbones, shoulder blades, the sternum, sacrum, plexus, even your talus, all the way down to the bottoms in your feet. We will address your limbic system. That's where all the craziness hangs out. I believe that's where all that endless mind chatter hangs out. We'll address nerves. This one here, that yellow one's vagus nerve, man, if you're tweaked out and you eat, I guarantee you're not going to digest the way that you want because the vagus nerve is going to be confused. We're going to address chakras. Chakras, they're just energy centers, but they're also related to the vertebrae. They're related to your organs. They're related to your nerves. And they all communicate together. Look at all that communication of those chakras at all times to each other and to everything outside of yourself. We'll address the meridians, which is just a different energetic system, right? They're just holes that you can... Holes is putting it simply. They're energetic centers that can get blocked and prevent you from being the true you that you are. And noticing that the chakras and the meridians all have emotional components to them. So as we balance the emotions throughout your body, we are helping you balance your chakras and meridians and even your physical body. So I hope this is a help for you. By all means, check out my website, theneurodivergent.net. You will be better. If you see me one time, you will be better. If you see me multiple times in a short time span, you will be better. If you see me more than one time in a long time span, you will be better every single time that you get work. So that's theneurodivergent.net. My name is Kim McIntyre, and I hope to help you be better soon.